Okay, you are good to go. You will have to unmute though, I think. Maybe not. Okay. Excellent, Terry. You'll have to unmute, and you're starting.
Starting. Okay, good evening. Please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded so that we can put into our website as podcast. We record in audio only. Feel free to use a podcast on our website along with your big book as a resource if you miss the study portion of the meeting. The study portion is also listed on the website so you can follow along.
Keep going, Terry. Down to the bottom to the page numbers.
Okay. In accordance with our group conscience on October 16, 2023, we will also be posting our podcast on YouTube. We feel that this is an effective way to carry our message to those seeking recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous. We do not have a recap tonight, but our study will be starting on page 58 and will end on page 60. Are there any announcements?
Thank you, Terry. Good evening, family. My name is Jamie. Very grateful, recovered alcoholic. Good to have you all with us. Still haven't done my GSR report. I will try and do that this week. Send it to Trish so she can email it out to all of you. Welcome to anyone who is new. And if you decide you like what we have in this group and you'd like to have it as your online home group, all you have to do is send a little information to Trish or myself, and we will gladly make you a member of this home group. And what that means is you have a vote and a say in what this group does in all service levels of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I will close with this. 4th of July, my house, Pickle Family Reunion. So there's going to be several of us here for a few days. So please, if you want to, come join us. We have meetings, we have fun, we have fellowship, and lots of good food. So, if you want to come, you're more than welcome to. You might be sleeping in a tent, but it'll work. Thank you very much, and I'll go ahead and kick this part off. And once again, good evening, family. My name is Jamie. I am a very grateful recovered alcoholic, and welcome to the Lppbbsg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. To prepare for our Big Book study, let's get focused by having a 3-minute moment of monk meditation, followed by our family's fog light prayer.
And I'm a recovered alcoholic. My name is Terry. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to start the meditation in a minute, so please take a moment to get situated.
Please beware of background noises when you are unmuted, and sharing is to not distract others or yourself. We suggest we all observe proper Zoom etiquette. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it here. And just a friendly reminder that absence of profanity offends no one. Please keep yourself muted during somebody else's share, and we will call on you in the order that hands are raised.
Look forward to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group.
For the meditation, some suggestions are: focus on your posture and breath. Breathe in God and breathe out self.
At this time to reconnect with God, let the craziness of the day drift away and ask God to help you focus on the study.
And on that note, let's bring those cute little monks in and let the monks do what the monks do. Enjoy your time with God. And for those of you who wish, please join us in our family's Foglight Prayer. It's on your screen in front of you. Foglight Prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
Okay, let's have our secretary report. Come on in, Pinky.
Thank you, Miss Terry. Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I'm your recovered alcoholic secretary. I've asked Kenny to read the recovered statement. We read this notice to explain why many people in this group identify as recovered rather than recovering, and what it exactly means to be a recovered alcoholic. Take it away, Kenny.
Hi, I'm Kenny. I'm an alcoholic. Recovered. We are not cured from alcoholism. Recovered but not cured. That presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. We are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime, but we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than his body. Page 23. We are now saying where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you for joining us tonight. We meet every Tuesday starting at 5:30 p.m. Central Time with the Gerbil Fellowship Cage, where we chatter for an hour before the start of the meeting. Feel free to bring side dishes to share with the buzzards. Our Big Book study starts promptly at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and we ask that you be courteous and ready to begin with the sound of the foghorn. We take our Big Book study seriously. Because of this, chat will be disabled during our study. In the 1940s, when the only elements to sobriety were God, a Big Book, and one recovered alcoholic working with an untreated alcoholic, the success rate was as follows. From the forward to the second edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, page XX, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapse, and the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, showed improvement. Can we have a show of hands of people joining us for the first time?
We got a couple out there. Welcome to all.
Welcome. And then the recovered alcoholics. These are your potential sponsors. Is there anyone celebrating a milestone this week? If you should require a Big Book of your own, we have large print editions available that can be sent to you by buzzard mail. Delivery time questionable. Please remember to practice our 7th tradition by donating to the group address, Venmo, or PayPal posted in the chat and on the screen. Our suggestion is to purchase a Big Book and take an untreated alcoholic through the program of recovery. Please visit our website posted in the chat. Thank you and see you next week.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you, Alyssa. From chapter 2, there is a solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree, and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is a great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
This is an open meeting, and as such, all who have an interest in alcoholism and our program of recovery are welcome. Because this is an open meeting, you need not identify yourself nor your reason for being here if you do not wish to do so. Your anonymity will be protected. We ask that you protect ours.
While this is an open meeting, membership in this group is limited to those who wish to recover from alcoholism and have a desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Thank you. And Terry, somehow we got flipped in the script, but that's okay. It works. And before we begin our study tonight of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 12, and tonight we are going to take a look at Tradition 1. Please refer to page 562 in your Big Books. And Trish is going to come in and be our traditionalist tonight with step 1, or Tradition 1. Welcome, Trish.
Hey everybody, I'm Trish, I'm an alcoholic. And Tradition 1, the short form. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. And the long form, each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is but a small part of a great whole. AA must continue to live, or most of us will surely die. Hence, our common welfare comes first, but individual welfare follows close afterward. And from the 12 and 12, the unity of Alcoholics Anonymous is the most cherished quality our society has. Our lives, the lives of all to come, squarely depend on it. We stay whole or AA dies. Without unity, the heart of AA would cease to beat. Our world arteries would no longer carry the life-giving grace of God. And for me, I need to have interaction with other people in order to ensure my recovery. I cannot get or stay sober by myself. My own personal experience shows me I may not drink, but I will be dry and I will be miserable. And then people will either walk away from me or I will push them away. If I don't have interactions with other people in recovery, I will not be able to see or be willing to be shown when I am falling off the beam. Once I've been introduced to the spiritual principles in the program, I need to continue this way of life. I cannot keep the gift of sobriety unless I carry the message to others. Once I realize that I am just a small part of a great whole, I know that no sacrifice is too great for me to make. It may mean lack of sleep or change of plans, but the group needs to survive if I'm to survive. By faith and by works, we in AA have learned to live together and support each other and to continue to carry this message to others. I cannot keep everything I have learned in these rooms to myself and expect to continue to live happy, joyous, and free. And at the same time, I can't take everything that I've learned in these rooms and keep it to myself and expect that the rooms are still going to be here for me or for others. Or in other words, or in simpler terms, you can have a meeting without me, but I can't have a meeting without you. And without a meeting, I don't have recovery and sobriety. Thanks.
Thank you, Trish. You're up, Terry. We lost your audio.
Now,
There you go. We got you now.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, now we are going to do that ain't in the big book. We hear a lot of stuff said in meetings that can't be reconciled with the program as described in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. What follows is one of the things we often hear along with what the Big Book has to say on the matter. Okay, so the thing we still hear at meetings is you're in the right place. Nancy,
Alcoholic. If anyone is showing inability to control his drinking, can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him.
Thank you so
Nancy.
much. And as we study, please make use of pens, highlighters, and rulers so that you can share this experience with another alcoholic.
in order for us to stay focused as we study the Big Book, we use the Big Book Study Guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group.
And tonight, there is no recap, but we are going to open up a new chapter with the blue page, which I will be doing a screen share on that with you. And then our study portion will be starting on page 58 of our big book. We're starting a new chapter, How It Works. And I forget who's going to read that for us, but somebody is. Terry knows. Oh, Stephanie is going to read it. Thank you, Steph. And that we're going to follow that through to a paragraph in page 60, and then we will open up for questions, we'll go ahead. We'll ask the questions, answer out of the book, and then open up for sharing. Terry, you're muted.
Sorry. After the page is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium, starting back where our study portion began on page 58. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified. And multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation.
Basically, in English, what that means is we are going to read the material once through and then dissect the information a second time through the question and answer format. Notice how the language in the question gives us a new light in which to consider the study material.
This is important because hearing the question and rereading the content often offers a definite way of comprehending the material covered. After we've completed the study, we open up for comment, questions, and observations based on what was just read. If you have spiritual experiences with this information, you are free to share. Please keep your share on topic and under 5 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, you may hear a timer beep to let you know your time is finished.
However, Big Book study is not therapy. Should you begin sharing on topics which are more appropriately discussed in a different setting, for example with your sponsor, please do not be offended if we cut that conversation short and send the buzzards nipping at your heels. For that purpose, we have fellowship before and after the meeting.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the page's study, which brings us to the words of one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
And how did we arrive at this point? Let me try and run through that as quickly as possible. Tonight we are on week 37 of a 94-week Big Book study that starts at the title page and goes all the way through to page 164. After we hit 164, we do a few weeks on Dr. Bob's Nightmare as well through the questions format. Then we do 2 weeks on the traditions with the questions format as well, so we can study the traditions a little deeper. In the book study, there are 3 times that there's an asterisk on the page, and we are directed to go to the spiritual experience. We study that 3 times through the study, but the 94th week, the final week, we do the spiritual experience one more time for a 4th and final time as a standalone meeting that night. So that, because it's important to understand what a spiritual experience or spiritual awakening is, so we can recognize it if it happens to be happening to us. This meeting originally started here in my house pre-COVID by about 10 weeks. COVID hit, we eventually went Zoom all the way, where we just celebrated our 4th anniversary as a Zoom group, and we have done it this way we are into our 4th year and our 3rd season. Some of the developments along the way have also been our podcast, which you can find through our website, which is another addition to this process. And of course, we decided to use YouTube this last year as a casting format as well. Still all audio only, so there are no faces there. And it is a very effective way to study the book, even if you're just sitting down at home reading it, because the questions will help give a deeper understanding. We are so glad that all of you are here, and hope you will continue to join us. And bring a friend, or bring a frenemy if that works for you, because that's how this group has grown, by word of mouth. And we are grateful to have you all here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Before we start the recap, we will need 5 or 6 virtual hands raised if you would like to be one of our answer readers. Please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded so that we can put it onto our website and our YouTube channel.
And I'm going to kick it off with the blue page. This is something that you folks do not have in your big book. So if you're searching, looking for what he's reading, you aren't going to find it. But it does come from the study guide that we use, created by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group. And this is an introduction to the chapter, and each and every one of our chapters has this introduction. So I'm going to go ahead and read that for you tonight. Week 37, the blue page. By the time we get to chapter 5, how it works, we have a clear understanding of what the problem is, alcoholism, and what the solution is, God as we understand him. Now, all we need to know is what we must do to recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, and precisely how do we do it. We will receive our first set of clear-cut directions in this chapter. The directions will be for steps 3 and 4. The chapter begins to tell us how the program works for those who will put it to work in our lives. We are told who of those coming to Alcoholics Anonymous for help fail and why. We have been told that this is a spiritual program, and here we will find the first of a number of prayers just before we are told what we must do to recover. We are then told what to do and in what order we are to do them. Let me scroll the page up a bit. When Bill W. began to write this chapter, he realized he was without some vital information. He had the 6 precepts that the Alcoholic Squad of the Oxford group had developed from their experience. This can be found on page XVI and again in the 4th edition on page 263. They are complete deflation, dependence and guidance from a higher power, moral inventory, confession, restitution, and continue to work with other alcoholics. He believed that these were not sufficiently complete for a person alone in this world of ours, so he prayed. Bill said that he laid his pad and pencil on the nightstand by his bed. Then he asked for guidance through prayer and meditation for about 30 minutes. He said he then picked up the pad and pencil and started writing. His hand seemed to flow on its own. He said after writing for about 40 minutes, he stopped and read what he had written. He placed numbers by the steps and was both surprised and very pleased to see that the 6 had become 12. Bill believed this significance because of the 12 apostles. While there are slight differences between what Bill wrote and what is now in the Big Book, he wrote one sentence that was voted out by part of the fellowship that participated in the authorship of this book. What he wrote followed immediately after the ABCs. If you are not convinced of these vital issues, the ABCs, you ought to reread this book to this point or throw it away. In any event, the chapter gives us the information necessary to begin to see what the truth is regarding the source of the insanity that leads the chronic alcoholic back to the drink. It provides some promises that will happen when these steps are taken. Being the basic text of our fellowship, it will tell us when to take a step, how to take a step, and what the results will be. It also reminds us why we must take the steps. We may hear there are no must in Alcoholics Anonymous. If they are referring to the fellowship, that is almost true. There is only one must to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that is a desire and a longing, a yearning to stop drinking for good and all. That is a must. But each person coming to Alcoholics Anonymous seeking help has freedom to adopt our program as a way of life and thereby come to comprehend the word serenity and know peace, or to ignore the program and return to drinking and die or go permanently insane. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous, however, contains many must, have to, had to, etc. Certainly, the program is a suggested program. If you had tried everything else and kept drinking, we strongly suggest you try ours. Why? Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path, the directions in this book. Now let's find out how we begin to recover by taking steps 3 and 4, following the directions in the chapter. We recover by the steps we take, not the meetings we make. Thank you.
Okay, now we will have Steph read for us this week's study, which is Chapter 5, How It Works, starting on page 58. Take it away, Steph.
Thank you, Terry. I'm Stephanie, powerless over alcohol. Chapter 5, How It Works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, that one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A. That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B. That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. C. That God could and would if he were sought. Being convinced, we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood him. Just what do we mean by that? And just what do we do? Cliffhanger. Thank you.
True story. Thanks, Steph.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Okay, for answer readers, please speak clearly into your microphones. We will ask the questions from our script by Joe and Charlie and Trustee Cliff. The answers to the questions will be sentence by sentence, coming directly out of this week's study, beginning with the first sentence and ending with the last one. Okay, our lineup for tonight is Nancy, Rick, Alyssa, William, and Kat. Thank you so much for volunteering. Okay, are you ready? Page 58. Okay, Nancy, we'll start with you. To be successful in this program, what must we do?
Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed their path.
Okay, Rick, 2-part. Who will not recover, and what is usually their natural problem?
Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves.
Alyssa, are there such people?
There are such unfortunates.
William, why are they that way?
They are not at fault.
One more.
They seem to have been born that way.
Thanks, William. Okay, Kat, what are they unable to do?
Kat, you're muted.
Thank you. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty.
Okay, back to you, Nancy. Are their chances pretty good?
Their chances are less than average.
Hey, Rick, what other types of alcoholics can recover?
There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest.
Okay, Pinky, what are stories supposed to do?
Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now.
And I have several comments I'll be coming in with in between questions as well. And here's the first one. Some folks have little trouble with this one. They read it as what it was like, what happened, and what it is like now. It very clearly reads what we were like, what happened, and what we are like now. It seems pretty obvious it wasn't too good, or we would never have come to this bunch of all-time losers.
Okay.
That's what it says.
I know, I saw that. Okay, William, if you want what this program has to offer, what must you do?
It said, if you have decided you want what we have to, and willing, if you have decided and willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps.
Okay, thank you, Kat. Do we look forward to taking these steps?
At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier,
Nope,
softer way.
wait, that one's for Nancy. Nancy, with our, thank you though, Kat. With our sound sense of reasoning, what do we try to do?
We thought we could find an easier, softer way.
Rick, could we find it?
But we could not.
Comment. We recovered alcoholics can assure every chronic alcoholic that these steps, when taken as directed, are the easier, softer way.
Alyssa, what do we sincerely beg of you?
With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start.
Okay, William, we got a two-parter. Which of our old ideas, beliefs, or opinions are worth retaining? And what must we do with our old ideas?
Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas. The results were there until we let go absolutely.
Pat, what must we remember?
Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful.
If we have an alcoholic mind, must we also remember that alcoholism is permanent, progressive, patient, and fatal?
Nancy, must we have help? Page 59.
That one who has all power. That one is God.
No, the one, must we have help? Without
help, Nancy.
There's too much for us.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks. Rick, who has all power?
But there is one who has all power. That one is God.
Thanks, Rick. Alyssa, when should we try to find him?
May you find him now.
Thank you. William, if we are half-hearted in applying this program, how successful will we be?
Half measure avail us nothing.
Yep, thank you. Kat, if we understand that lack of power is our problem and that a power greater than ourselves is the solution, where are we?
We stood at the turning point.
Okay, thank you. Nancy, back to you. What do we ask?
We ask His protection and care with complete abandon.
This is the first of several prayers we will find as we progress and recover. Remember, this is a spiritual program. Therefore, we will find one or more prayers for each and every step. We learn how to more and more involve God in our lives. We find this way of living to be extremely practical.
Okay, Rick, I think it's you're next. It's another two-parter. Here are the steps we what, and what are these steps?
Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery.
Thank you.
The authors of this book recovered by taking the steps, not just by going to meetings. The material they gave us is in the past tense. They report what they did, how they did it, and what the results were. If we do what they did, will we get what they got? And another comment, read the steps and contemplate what they say. They tell us precisely what we must do to recover. We will then be given the information we need to understand the significance of the steps and clear-cut directions for taking them.
Pinky. Step 1, the problem, alcoholism.
We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable.
William, step 2, the solution, a power greater than ourselves.
Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
You can't. Step 3, a decision to take the rest of the steps to learn if that power greater than ourselves is available to us.
Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him.
We will now begin to be at peace with the God of our understanding.
Nancy, step 4, an effort to learn the truth about ourselves.
Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Rick, the humility to honestly admit our character defects to our higher power, ourselves, and another human being, and to learn more of the truth about the way we have treated and harmed others.
Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs.
Hey, Alyssa, step 6, a commitment to our higher power that we will continue our study of the Big Book and follow the clear-cut directions to the best of our understanding.
We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Okay, William, step 7, now that we have told him we will do our part, we humbly ask him to do his part.
A humble asked Him to remove our shortcomings.
We will now begin to be at peace with ourselves.
Step 8, cats. Take the list from column 1 of our 4th step and add it to all the people we have neglected, used, abused, or otherwise harmed.
Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
Nancy, step 9, made restitution on all those on our step 8 list of people we had harmed.
Made direct amends to such people wherever possible. except when to do so would injure them or others.
2 comments. First one is, we will now begin to be at peace with the people in the world around us. Second comment, this action step is vital to long-term emotional sobriety, for this step is where we forgive. If we have carefully followed the directions, we will experience a great spiritual event and awakening or experience within us, as Dr. Silkworth said, an entire psychic change.
Hey, Rick, you get step 10. Continue to apply steps 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, moment by moment, day to day.
Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
This is how we stay free from our old ideas and begin spiritual growth.
Melissa, you get step 11. This is how we learn to talk to God, pray, and listen to God, meditation.
Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out.
Comment. This is the promise of the program, the statement of our primary purpose, and how we are to apply these steps to every area of our lives. This is where we live the program. We feel the elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. A much more important demonstration of our principles, 12 steps, lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. That's on page 19.
William, you get the last step, step 12, 3 parts. What is the promise of having taken the first 11 steps? What must we then try to do and see? Where else must we apply these steps?
Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to the alcoholic and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
What do many of us exclaim?
Many of us exclaimed, "What an order!"
Good.
I can't go through with it.
Great, Nancy, thank you. Nancy, should we just throw our hands up and quit?
Do not be discouraged.
Rick, how many of us are doing this precisely?
No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles.
Melissa, we certainly are not what?
Saints.
Okay. William, if we really want to recover, we must be willing to do what?
The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual line.
Yeah, what is the nature of these 12 steps?
The principles we have set down are guides to progress.
Principles are defined as basic truths of basic laws. God, in His creation, gave us 2 types of principles, natural and spiritual. The natural laws we get for free. For example, gravity, water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, etc. The spiritual laws require a very precise course of action before we can be the beneficiaries of them. In our case, the spiritual principles are the 12 steps.
Hey, Nancy, you got a 2-parter. What do we gain as a result of taking these steps, but we will never achieve what?
we claim spiritual progress rather than the spiritual perfection?
Yes, Rick, you got 4 parts. What 2 sections of the big book describe the alcoholic? What chapter describes the agnostic? Where do we find the adventures before and after? And what do these make clear?
Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Is it step 1, Alyssa?
Am I in C? I'm sorry.
That we were alcoholic.
That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives.
Thank you. William, is this also step 1?
Probably no human power could relieve our alcoholism.
Okay, and Kat, is this step 2?
That God could and would if he were sought.
This is where Bill wrote in the original manuscript, if you are not convinced of the ABCs, reread this book or throw it away.
Okay, Nancy, back to you. It's a 2-parter. If we are convinced of these vital issues, the ABCs, where are we? And what have we decided to do?
Being convinced, we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to the care of God as we understood him.
Okay, Rick, the cliffhanger. Which 2 questions need to be answered at this point?
Just what do we mean by that? And just what do we do?
And one final comment. The answer to the first question will be found beginning on this page and continuing through page 62. The answer for the second question begins on page 63 and ends at the bottom of page 164. Thank you, folks. Great job.
Yeah, that was a lot of work tonight. Thank you so much. Okay, you can take your hands down unless you want to be the first to share. We're going to open the floor now for sharing. If you have experience with the portion of the book that was just read, please feel free to share. A friendly reminder as we share, absence of profanity offends no one. We are open for comment, questions, and observations based on what we just read. If you have spiritual experiences with this information, you are free to share. Okay, any hand? Oh, Pinky, your hand is up. Start us out.
Thank you, Miss Terry. Alyssa, recovered alcoholic. Before I start my share, can I ask what was the lead-in to step 6 again?
Oh, sure. Gotta go back. Give me a second here.
The lead question, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I've got it, Terry, if you don't.
You got it? Okay.
Question, step 6. A commitment to our higher power that we will continue our study of the Big Book and follow the clear-cut directions to the best of our understanding.
Okay. I'll have to think on that one. That one's got me puzzled because I understand what step 6 is. But anyway, my name's Alyssa, recovered alcoholic. So this part of the book, when I first going through all 12 steps with my sponsor the first time, I remember my first spiritual experience. And I was actually on the phone with Jamie. it was in May, after I had been sober for, 7 months sober. And we were talking about something, and he either sent me a coin or I had a coin in my hand, but I was outside in the sun with the kids. I do remember that. And it was at that moment when they said, it's not how it works. It's not the how of the program. It's who. And because it spells WHO, and it was the coin. It wasn't one of our coins. It was that we make. It was a metal coin, but it had the WHO. And it is the who of the program. It's God, because it even says on page 560, 68 of in the spiritual experience, it says willingness, honesty, open-mindedness. These are the essentials of recovery, but they are indispensable. And I didn't realize when I was, clouded with self when I first did these steps, how many of these involved willingness, which is every single one. But the ones most highlighted are, for me, where I see it today is 3, 6, and 8, because those are the things that I need the willingness for. Because I'm not writing character defects or in step 6. I've already identified those in 4. So it's looking at that list and I'm becoming willing. Well, let me back up to 3. 3, I'm using the 3rd step prayer, asking God. I'm willing to let God relieve me of the bondages of self, turning my will over to God. And then 6 is becoming willing to have God remove all those defects of characters that I just hammered out in step 4. And then 8 is, I became willing to make amends to all those people I had harmed. And the list is already made. It doesn't mean I can't add to it, but the list is already there because I did all the work in step 4. And today I have more of an acceptance that I can't control people, places, and things, but it still gets to me when they're like, I have to write my character defects out in 6, and I have to make this list in 8. And it's like, I cringed because there's no direction in the big book that tells us to do this. And the directions are clearly cut out, are clearly laid out, and the work is done in 4. The writing is done in 4, and I can do more writing afterwards. But if I do a thorough 4-step, and for me, when I first came in, I thought I had to remember everything about every situation. Well, 1, that's not possible. So I was insane to think that, and in denial, which I definitely put on that 4th column of my 4-step later. And I laugh because I didn't have an understanding when I did this the first time. I didn't truly have an understanding, and I'm not blaming that on anybody besides myself, because I didn't have a true open mind. Was the willingness there? Yeah. Was I ready to be honest? Yes. But I wasn't open to, I didn't clear my mind when the instructions were given to me. And I think I went off on what I was sharing, but now that I have a better understanding, because I can't even say that I understand these completely in the way that Bill and God intended them to be, because I wasn't in Bill's head, and I'm not God, so, but my understanding of these steps today is, is that if I grasp the understanding of that 4-step process after, I've admitted that I'm powerless over alcohol. So 1, 2, 3 is I can't, he can, I'm going to let him. And then that 4-step process, which I love doing today because I can see my part. I'm the common denominator in all of my problems today. And I accept that. So knowing that I have these columns that I can just go to in my head and list them out. Some of them I do write out, but a lot of the times I can just identify that I'm in self, so that's going to affect every area of my life, and then what character defects are coming up, all right, God, and when I use that 7-step prayer, because of another workshop that I've had the opportunity to facilitate, it uses that, but it breaks it down and it says insert your character defects. So I've gotten into the habit of specifically asking God to remove my selfishness or my intolerance or my impatience, and then strengthen my tolerance and my patience and my respect to others, calling that out. And wow, has that made a world of difference, because it's almost, I've identified it, and I'm acknowledging that this is blocking me off from the sunlight of the Spirit. God, take it or bring it down to the level that you intended for it to be used. And that's just, it's powerful. This literature is extremely powerful, and I didn't, it wasn't time for me. And that's all I'm going to say, because I'm not going to let guilt and shame run my life today. But I'm just so thankful for the opportunity that I have, and especially here, too, to break this book down and study it and just to gain a better understanding, because this is a lifesaver. It saves me from myself every single time. And so I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for all of you. I love you all. Thank you for letting me share.
Stinky. Okay, I saw Nancy's hand up. Where'd you go? There you are.
Nancy Alcoholic. I love this reading because I feel like this is the thing that changed my whole entire life. Admitting my faults and looking at the past and telling someone what I did and getting honest and doing the work is what made me become a better person. Not in a sense that better, but it's just more honest, more like understanding of what my life is supposed to be. Working with a sponsor and doing all this work is, when I first started this program, started doing these steps, it was really hard for me because I thought all the secrets that I had, I'm going to carry to my grave. And that by telling someone my past and my mistakes and my faults and my sins, that I didn't expect my life to get better, but it did. Only because I trusted someone that has been through this program and that showed me that there's this God, there's these steps that we have to do and that we have to work no matter how sometimes it's so difficult to follow them, is we just do it. I just do it, and life has changed now. It is like today I don't have that many secrets left. I think I still have 1 or 2, but in general, this is the one that made me the person that I am today because of all the work that this book offered me and that I followed with the help of the sponsorship and the people at the meetings. You know, I am very grateful. I'm very grateful that Bob and Bill started this program, and I'm very grateful that today, to this day, after so many years, it still works, and that we don't have to change anything if we just follow these directions. If I follow these directions, I know my life is in the right direction, that I'm with my God, where I am more focused in a life that doesn't have to be cheating, lying, and all that. And it's a lot simpler. And it's not easy to do it, but it gets easier the more I do it. And I want to thank all of you, and especially this big book works study. It's like it makes me open to a lot more understanding of the big book. And for me, I don't have to understand what it says. I just need to follow what what was written. And by that, I have a God today that I don't question, and my life is a lot simpler and easier. And I thank you for it.
Thanks, Nancy. Okay, Jamie, you're on.
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie. Very grateful, recovered alcoholic. So grateful to have all of you here and be a part of what we do. You know, since I have been studying the book this way the last few years, I have grown in relationship with my God and myself and with the rest of God's children in a way that I never could have imagined, and I have grown more than I did my first 28 years of sobriety. Uh-oh, shocked eyeballs, I see. And it's largely in part to the result of it's the steps that I take, not the meetings that I make. I don't have a spiritual experience in a meeting. Every now and then I might get that goose flush. But that spiritual experience comes through the practice of these steps. I'm going to start with this as our reading starts. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Bill was once asked if he could change anything in the book, what would it be? And he said he would have changed rarely to never have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. This program works 100% of the time, every time, without fail, for those who are willing to follow the directions as they're outlined. And we try and change stuff all the time. We try and do it our own way, or we follow the guidelines of bad sponsorship and, oh, it's okay, you'll do it when you're ready, so on and so forth. And which leads me to this, right off of page 58. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. In my journey in Alcoholics Anonymous, most of us are cannots. We are will nots, speaking from my own experience. A cannot, bless their hearts, is someone who was born with some sort of brain damage that they cannot process something. You know, maybe an autistic child child who suffers from like mongoloid or something like that, and that they are God's most precious children. Or maybe a psychopath that just does not have the capacity for feeling an emotion. Those are cannots. Or somebody who took way too much LSD and just totally blew out every brain cell. Those are cannots. That puts most of the rest of humanity, or those who come to Alcoholics Anonymous, in the classification as will nuts, if we don't follow the guidelines. There have been many times that I have been a will not in Alcoholics Anonymous. Nope, I'm not going to look at that. Nope, that's not the truth about me. But what has happened as a result? The steps, especially steps 3 and 4, have given me a pathway to just simply look at the truth about me. I'm not supposed to look at your truth. I'm not supposed to look at what I perceive to be your truth. If I'm sponsoring you, or you're in my sponsorship family, I have a duty and a responsibility through this work to help you find your truth. But it's not my place to search for your truth myself. It's only my responsibility to search for my own truth, to find out why I am the way I am, why I think the way I do, why I feel the way and act the way that I do. And that's what the process of steps 3 and 4 are going to allow me to do. There is another passage here. There are those who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. That's a true statement. That's based on their experience, the experience of the first 100. And in a couple of weeks, we'll get to page...
Oh, that's hot.
In a couple of weeks, we will get to page 64, and there's a passage there, and yes, it's dealing with resentment, but it says, when the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. Mentally and physically. Means that there is hope. There's absolute hope for this. You know, I'm gonna skip forward to the question that Alyssa asked about step 6. And I think about the way this is worded, and the question was, for step 6, a commitment to our higher power that we will continue our study of the Big Book and follow the clear-cut directions to the best of our understanding. I have known many, many people who do a 4th step, who do a 5th step, and never ever take a 6th step, and don't move forward through the steps, and they skip right through to step 12 and are under the impression that they have taken the steps. The answer out of the book for step 6 is, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. In our book, on page 76, it asks if I am now willing to believe that God can remove the things in myself which I have found questionable, each and every one of them. I have lots of questionable things in my life, lots of them. Most every one of you, not all of you, but most every one of you in this room tonight is somewhere in your in my sponsorship family. And each and every one of you has experienced me making mistakes, me making bad decisions. Some of you have seen my defects of character. Some of you have seen self-pity out of me, and anger and fear and worry. Those are so many of the things that I have found questionable in my life, that I am asking God, or I am willing to believe that God can remove them. So then I move on to step 7. Now that we have told him we will do our part, we humbly ask him to do his part. And the answer out of the book is humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. And that leads us into the 7-step prayer. My Creator, I am now ready that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go from here to do your bidding. And there is the Amen. And it completes the cycle of 5 steps, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, that we began with in the 3rd step prayer. There's no amen at the end of the 3rd step prayer. So this is finishing off the 3rd step prayer. It doesn't say, and then he did. And it doesn't say in my book, congratulations, Jamie, you've completed step 7. Now you get to control and manipulate your defects of character to have the outcome in life that you want them to have. I'm still going to make mistakes, folks. So these 2 questions, kind of to answer for Alyssa, are just simply that I am going to continue through my lifetime, one day at a time, study this book and continue to do the work on a daily basis. And that means that I'm always going to look at me and do my best not to look at you and what you're doing. But if you need a helping hand, I'm happy to extend my hand and help you find your pathway. That being said, had a conversation with somebody earlier and I said, today's the day that I'm willing to be wrong. And I am. And here's why. Because I don't know everything. What I do know is I know my own personal experience. I don't know what's right for any of the rest of you. So I am willing to be wrong in what I might say. Oftentimes I say things the wrong way. Never intentionally, but it does happen. But most importantly, not only am I willing to be wrong, something I know that I'm not wrong in is my experience. Because the bad decisions, the things that I have said wrong, the mistakes I have made, have all been pathways to progress. They have all become the experience that helps me to become better in my relationship with God and my relationship with myself. And I'll close with this. There is a place here. This was a question on leading into step 10. Continue to apply steps 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it's giving me 6 steps that I continue to practice in my life on a daily basis, to learn how to live with myself in God's world so that I can live with the rest of you. Thank you. Love you all.
Thank you, Jamie. Rick, you're on.
Good evening, everyone. Rick Alcoholic. Let's talk with another, all the way from Sweden, who was here. But anyways, and one of the things we talked about was the discussions on the success rate of this program, and really how we're seeing a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who we see follow our path is where I take the stats from, if that's what you want to call them. When someone comes into the program and is just hanging on or not sticking and staying, me, I don't count that. And where he's at in Scotland, they just made a decision to put a ton of money into some recovery for AA places, and a lot of people came in, and a lot of people came into the meetings. Some left, and that's where they're taking their counts from. So anyways, for me, I remember being one of those, you know, who did not want to. I'm not drinking, that's good enough. There's a man, myself, many others, who I've known maybe 7, 8 years now, and he's got another month of sober coming to meetings, and I notice the drifting back from not thoroughly following the path. I'm not counting them. I just don't. This program for me, another thing that is said in the rooms, it doesn't make me chuckle anymore because it's an old joke, and for me, you know, if you don't remember your last drink, you haven't had it. And there are times I say bull, and a lot of times maybe the second word comes after it. I don't remember my last drink. That's how I drank. That's how I drank. But I remember my experience with this in my active drinking. I remember it very well. Was being revealed to me. I spoke at an anniversary, and then for the last 2 days, something I completely forgot about, that I'd never share about, that I stopped doing when I was drinking. I played in marching band in high school. It's about the best I could do for the football team. And I ended up in some bands. I ended up playing pretty well. But after high school, and the drinking escalated, somewhere that got left behind. Even though my daughter's been drumming for many years, you know, I didn't need an after school job. I played in bands. I played all the time. played for multiple bands. So I got pretty good at it. That's what drinking is to me. I left some stuff behind. There's a lot of cats. There's a lot of cats in this program, so I better follow the right cat. And sometimes you're hearing it from people with many years. And I like what I see on the bottom of the screen. Alcoholics Anonymous. Read it. The light will come on. Next couple of Tuesdays, there will be some anniversaries I want to go to, friends of mine celebrating. And so I have many meetings I could go to, and I said, no, I'm coming here. There are other book meetings in my recovery. I remember being the bulker. At most of these, maybe all of these suggestions, these few simple rules, as they call it sometimes. But for me today, especially these days, it is not just step 10, it's step 4. Rick, a well-tuned, recovering alcoholic. Because there are times I come out with the wrong answer, and I call that shortcomings to me. When I'm short with somebody, when my wife, when I walk by her, and she says, I love you, Rick, just out of the blue, and my mouth comes up with, where does that come from? She tears up. I know exactly what to do with that. I know to take her by the hand, put her in a hug, tell her, I can still be a fool. I love you a lot. I can fix that. But what is it with Rick? I know how to fix Rick, but I need to get better at it. So for me, for a while, it's been 4 and 10. It's not a done deal, as you all well know. Step 12 is not the end. It doesn't say at the end, now go on with your life. So, I'm rambling. But glad I'm here. Thank you, guys.
Rick, Trish, you're up.
Actually, Anthony's hand was before me and popped down,
Where
so
is
you
he?
can come in
Oh,
first.
he moved over. Hi, Anthony.
Oh, thank you,
Come
everyone.
on in.
Alrighty, my name is Ed the Alcoholic from New York. Thanks for acknowledging me, everyone. Thanks for a great meeting. Thank God for high power. Thank the high power. Thank the high power for everything. Great meeting. I'm just sitting in the car with my dog. The end of the day for me, had a good day. I didn't drink. I didn't use any other chemicals. I'm in a meeting. I thank my friend for inviting me to this meeting. I haven't been in a couple of weeks or so, but I'm back today, and my nickname is New York Deli Pickle. That's what the group gave me, so I'm happy about that, man. Thanks for giving me a name, group. Great share, great meeting, great message tonight. I got a lot out of it. So, I got easy does it, right? Don't drink, make a meeting. Do what I do tomorrow, what I did today, right? I had lunch with my brother. I'm gonna put my dog in day camp. I did 2 hours of training. I got a phenomenal mentor. Oh, wow. I'm so happy I found this mentor in my life. I train with him. I'm gonna train with him tomorrow again, another 2 hours. keep me focused, keep me zoned out, keep me where I need to be on me. I think it was said earlier in the meeting that I used to drink over other people, you know. If you don't want to dance with me, or you don't want to go home with me, or I'll be promiscuous, all the drinks on me. I drink to oblivion, you know, and everything else that happened to me. Thank God I survived that. Thank God I hit my bottom. Thank God I went to therapy. Thank God I came into 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Here's my dog, Max. I'm learning to love myself. I turned 69 a couple of weeks ago by God's grace and mercy. I have 5 years without using anything. I've been in the program for a little bit, but only have today. I gotta keep doing what I'm doing for all this time and keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, no matter what. And I'm going with some stuff. I don't want to get into specifics of it. And I'll close my statement that the second part of my Serenity Prayer says, may my heart just be halfway to peace. And I wish the people that are making my way hard, I wish them peace. I wish them love. I wish them happiness. And that's what I get when I come to a meeting. I get all those beautiful virtues from the higher power. So I maintain my life. But fill myself up with love and peace and understanding of myself and others. To be quiet. Right? Not hurt nobody. I ain't trying to hurt nobody, man, you know? Only the higher power knows that's not me. That's not me. My higher power is working on me, you know? And I appreciate him working on me and loving me. I have a white dog, a Maltese. That dog loves me, man. And I pray with him. And I take my higher power for him. I get emotional sometimes, but I take my higher power for his love upon me. And I've reached the age that I'm at. I'm 69 years old. And I ain't drinking. I had 27 years of addiction, you know. And I just keep working the process to the best of my ability. I'm going to say this, I'm going to shut up. I'm sorry, I keep talking, but my brother had a problem with drinking. He got into the courts. He got in trouble. He had 2 lawyers, 2 different case matters, whatever. So the court is mandating him to get help. And the higher power answered my prayer for him to get help. He's working with a social worker. He showed me some documents on procrastination and recovery. He's working with a social worker. I might have to go see a social worker myself, but it is what it is in God's time. So anyway, with that, I'm going to close. Thanks for listening to me. Everybody have a peace leaving. Stay clean and dry. Thank you. Pass Anthony, alcoholic.
Thanks, Anthony. Okay, everybody moves around. William.
Trish handled up before mine, but if Trish go before
Okay.
me, I just have to be quiet, because we seem like always be thinking the same thing when we coming in the reading. But I'll take a short thing. I'm gonna be short, Trish, you know, but and everybody else too. I just want to say hello to everybody. My name is William, I'm alcoholic. And whenever we read something like this, I get a chance to reflect what happened to me, you know, and how I got to where I'm at today. And one of the things when I first came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I struggled with this. So today, as we read and as I stay here, I can see why I struggle, you know. And I remember every time they read how it works, and when I was struggling, and I was self-diagnosed myself with that problem with grave emotion and mental disorder. Now, I didn't realize there was some more to that statement, you know. It's if they could be honest with themselves. So it took me some time to get honest about my alcoholism. You know, I blamed everybody who I knew for what the trouble that I was having in my life. I never looked at alcohol until I began to hear other people share about it, you know. And Bill just knew he was going to have William come to this program. Now, another thing that got me whenever I was there, you know, that word thorough. So I thought I had to be perfect with that when they say a third step, that third, fourth step, you know. But Bill said like this, whenever he rate another step to that 4th step, it was an 8th step. Now we'll redouble our effort. As I got sober, I began to see a lot clearer things that was troubling me in my life, and the things that I had resentment about as I began to stay here and began to work the program. So I'll let Trish continue to tell you the rest of the story. So I just want to mention that. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, William. I'm Trish and I'm an alcoholic. And, part of it is I forgot what I was going to say listening to everybody else. But in looking back at the questions from earlier tonight, do we look forward to these steps? No, some of these we balked. And with our sound sense of reasoning, what do we try to do? We thought we could find an easier, softer way. I thought I had a great sense of sound. I thought I had a great sound sense of reasoning when I came in here. And then that sense of reasoning improved as I came in, got sober, started working the steps, got involved, and then a lot of that slipped away and I hung out, but I stopped doing the work. And that sound sense of reasoning slipped away fairly quickly. But then I lived in the world of will not, because I convinced myself that that was the way life was going to be. And where I was the best that it was going to get. It wasn't that I couldn't, I knew I could. But I wasn't willing to do anything to change where I was. But once I found that willingness and once I started doing that work and got back into taking the steps, I definitely got catapulted into a new relationship with God, myself, and my fellows that I never dreamed possible. All as a direct result of doing the work. And life's not perfect. I have some great days, I have some not so great days. But I have the tools that I can use now and that I can pull out of that toolbox, and I'm willing to pull out of that toolbox so I don't stay stuck where I was. And by doing that, I don't have to stay stuck where I was. I don't have to think that I've come as far as I can go and that's my easier, softer way, because I don't want to do anything else. But once I got into the work, once I got to learn more of who I was, learn who God was, that's when I got catapulted into a life that I never thought was possible. Which I can only keep if I keep doing this work. Thanks.
Thanks, Trish.
Thank you. Okay, Jamie, are
Okay,
you ready to close us out?
I am, and I'm going to add a little bit to the reading tonight. Folks, we met some of the first 100 tonight in what we read. Because while Bill wrote the book, it was still their collective agreement that gave us this pathway. So we do get to meet the first 100 through the pages of this book and the personal stories. And that's very relevant to our lives today. So I'm going to start with this. Still, you may say, but I will not have the benefit of contact with you who write this book. We cannot be sure. God will determine that. So you must remember that your real reliance is always upon Him. He will show you how to create the fellowship you crave. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right. and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Thank you. You want to close it out with the prayer, Terry?
No, I got too much going on in the background.
Okay,
Could you do
I'll do it. You know, folks, we're all here because somebody prayed for us before we hit enough of a bottom to pray for ourselves or ask for help. And even if it was just as simple as God help me, that was enough of a prayer. But I know many other people prayed for me. So let's take a moment of silence for those who are still sick and suffering. There's going to be 263 alcoholics who die tonight in the United States alone from alcoholism. Tragically, so many of them have been in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and either could not or would not follow our simple program. Thank God we're not one of them. So let's take a moment of silence to pray for them, and then we will close out in our usual fashion of virtually circling up with our hands. Here's your moment. Thank you. Who will take us from shame to grace if we let him? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in the heavens. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thanks for staying up with us, folks.
Thanks, y'all. That was great.
Thank you, everyone.
You are welcome,
Thank you,
Jeffrey.
too.